I just suddenly got really bright. Much brighter. Yay. Yes, you did do something because I got really bright. And they can hear me. Yay! Technology. All right. Can everybody hear me now? Okay. Testing, testing. Can everybody hear me? Yes, we're getting there. And can they see me? Can you see me? And can you hear me? Please, everybody, let us know. Oops. So it says, can you hear me? Can you see me? You hear me, Judy? Yeah. Okay. So do you hear me and see me on the website tab? They can hear me but not see me. I'm good with that. If they can hear me, I'm okay. Okay. Let's try this again. Start from the beginning. And now you've missed all of my stories about the beach and the manatees and the lizards and the sun. So apparently there's some resistance to what I'm going to do tonight. So Owning Your Fire, February 14th, 2018. Start by paying attention to your breath. And we're going to set up a ball and then I'll chat for a little while. Okay, then put a ball of light around you and set it spinning through you and around you. And in the ball, you're going to put acceptance, approval, and love. And yes, I will have a ball around everybody. Put some detox, put some courage, and lots and lots and lots of comfort. And keep it at this level, because what we're going to do is we're going to do some polar split work. And so don't bring any child selves into it or anything yet. Just keep a simple ball of light spinning through you and around you. Let me know if you're having trouble with sound or anything. Judy says people can hear me but not see me. I don't care if you can see me. I care that you can hear me. Okay, spin it brighter, spin it faster. Okay, so one of the challenges I have in Florida is the bugs. And every time I feel frustrated and, that the bugs are eating me alive, all I do is I take out my phone and I check the weather in Ottawa, and then I decide I'd rather be here. Because, here it was 30 degrees today, which is a little hot, but, if you go to the beach, it's just fine and get in the water. It's gorgeous. And we do have air conditioning in the van. So I realized that the bugs were a way for me to avoid socializing because I am an introvert. So I did some digging, because that's frustrating to me, because I shouldn't have to hurt myself. I should be able to just socialize if I want to and not socialize if I don't want to. I shouldn't need bug bites to justify anything. So I went digging, and what I found was a little bit different than a typical polar split. What I found was, we have a part of us that, well, if I use the example of socializing, we have a part of us that wants to socialize. And a lot of the programming with that part is, being in seek for acceptance, approval, and love. And so you're wanting to socialize with people, and yet, you're worried about the experience you're going to have, or the parts inside you, or some of your child selves want to go and seek. And we've done a lot of work around that. So it's not automatic. Like, it's, you're not automatically going to go and seek, but but you're still aware that there might be bits and pieces that will want to do that. And then there's the parts that don't want to socialize because people can be a source of pain. And it's only a problem if the way you do that is by withdrawing, because withdrawing is a freeze and hide reaction, and that tends to be self-destructive. So if you have on the one side, you have the part of you that's wanting to socialize somewhat, sometimes, not all the time, and that has issues with being, issues with old habits of being in seek, or old habits of wanting approval. And then you have the parts that don't want to socialize, and the way they're used to doing that is by withdrawal. So then you end up with this split. And as always happens with polar splits, the part of you that's capable of making a conscious choice ends up in the chasm, right? Because remember, with a polar split, what you get is you get a chasm, and the wounded part is down there. So I was looking at that, poking it, and I cleared the polar split. And I could still feel, even though I had cleared the polar split, and yes, we will do that, I could still feel like those two parts were basically, well, two multiple parts were arguing, that they weren't at peace with each other. I thought, okay, so if I've cleared the polar split, there shouldn't still be a conflict going on. And what I realized was the part of me that wants to have the conscious choice was still in the chasm. So I'd healed the part that had a choice, I'd healed the part that could make a choice, but there was this part that didn't actually want to have the choice, which was a different thing. And I hope I make that clear. It was a different feeling. And so there's another example of that would be, we decide we want, for instance, health issues. We want to resolve health issues, whatever they might be. And so, the logical cognitive part of your brain is going, I want to be healthy. I want this fixed or whatever. And that if you have any kind of physical issue, no matter what it is, there's a reason for that. You have it for a reason. And generally speaking, that reason is some form of protection. Whether it's the sore toe that protects you from, going out, or the weight that holds on to issues, like it holds on to old emotion, or things that are held in your organs because of old traumas, whatever's going on. If there's a physical issue, there's a reason. So there's the part of you going, no, but I want to be healthy. And then there's the part of you that has the function of providing this physical issue for you. And so even if you say, okay, well, if I consider, one side of the polar split is healthy and the other side is having this physical problem, whatever it is, then that you could treat that like a polar split. Then there's some wounded part. You would think there's some wounded part in the chasm. Well, the thing is, because the physical issue has a function, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. So if you're trying to find the polar split that has healthy on one side and, unhealthy, whatever you want to call that, on the other side, it doesn't work because your aim is off. And as with all things energy, it's always about the aim. So I was poking around, looking at this, what is this piece that's kind of hanging out down there that's going, yeah, but I don't want that. I don't want it. And so if you think it's like, if I use the healthy, unhealthy example, if you say, okay, well, what's the part in the chasm? If I'm going, healthy feels like a right choice and unhealthy feels like a wrong choice. But whatever the physical issue is, it's serving a purpose, and the purpose is for you. It's serving a purpose for you. And if you had resolved the reason you have the issue, it'd be gone. So, you can tell yourself whatever story you want. The fact that you still have the issue means it's serving a purpose for you. So why don't we want to release the purpose? Why don't we want to? And so I went looking for that, and so I was looking at all these different things where it kind of looks like a polar split, but when I looked a little closer, it's not actually. It's not actually, because it's not a continuum where, this end is available and that end's available and there's something in the middle that's kind of broken and unavailable. It isn't like that. It's a situation where, yeah, there's this state and that state. The thing is, the part of you that would want what we're calling the right state, whether that's healthy or choosing socializing or not socializing without needing, all kinds of things, needing to hurt yourself, needing to have a problem, then the issue becomes you don't actually want to. You don't actually want to. So I said, well, okay, why don't we want to? And so we all know, okay, so if you hold a physical issue of any kind, if you hold a pattern of any kind that, it's, you think you want to get rid of it, but it's not going, it means you don't want to. It means your aim is off. Your aim is off. So I started poking at, okay, so why don't we want to? Well, there's some obvious and well-known reasons. A reason you might not want to release something is it's your comfort zone. Or you don't know how to live another way. And so your limbic system's going to balk. If you have no idea how to live without the pattern or live a different way or a way that you can't imagine, your limbic system's going to go, well, we don't know how to survive like that. So we should stick with the old version, stick with the old way. And so I thought, okay, well, then we have to look at teaching that part of us that doesn't want to be willing to. And you could say, well, okay, isn't that everything we do? The reason it feels different to me is because when I was looking for this, I could feel that even though I'd cleared bits, even though I'd cleared the polar splits, what I had was two parts that were very clearly in a fight. I could feel the fight, I could feel the parts that were fighting. And if they're still in conflict inside me, then, then I'm the battleground. And there's no point in trying to bully that. There's no point in trying to bully your parts. It doesn't work because they're all you. And so you have to look at, basically, what's the fight about? What are they fighting for? And the irony is when you have that kind of conflict, they're always fighting for you. Because even if it seems like they're kind of opposing versions of you, the fact is those parts of you believe that what they're doing for you is the right thing. They have to have your best interest at heart because they're you. Right? They're not, you can look at it from your perspective and say, I feel sabotaged. You feel sabotaged by these parts that give you a health issue or, feel like they're stuck in a pattern that you can't shake. The fact of the matter is, they're you. They have a reason for doing this. It always goes back to telling the truth that there's a reason they want it that way. There's a reason you want it that way. There's a reason you want it that way. If you're going to release it, that's where you have to start. So I want to look at, well, let's do a simple one like the physical stuff. Okay, simpler one, because it's very straightforward to understand. You can define something as health or well-being or whatever physically, and then you could say, here's this thing, whatever it is, whether it's a sore toe or, feeling physically tired, not, or feeling a lack of enthusiasm or a specific physical problem. I don't, whether it's a wart or your vision or, or a health issue, whatever it is, you can basically point to that and say, that's the thing that I want to change. And it's straightforward because it exists physically. So we look at that, we look at that physical issue and say, okay, how you would typically go at that. You would go into Campfire and say, call out the physical issue, the part of your body, call out the part of you that's holding that physical situation for you and say, okay, why are you holding this for me? And then for the people who say, yeah, but they don't come out, what you have to remember is if you go in there calling the situation wrong, of course they're not going to come out. Because they're doing right by you and you're calling it wrong. So they're going to protect you by hiding. So as challenging as it is, you kind of have to get yourself to the headspace of recognizing, okay, I'm doing this for a reason. You're not a victim of this. There's a reason you're doing it, and the reason is right. The reason is right. And you have to go in with that state of mind so you can get them to talk to you. And you've learned, you go in, you get them to come out, you can give them a new job, you can find ways to help yourself be safe. And the challenge you have is not to go, oh, I don't need that. That's just ridiculous. Because that's our adult, logical, cognitive perception. It isn't the truth. If that was the truth, you wouldn't have this issue. So we like to think of ourselves as that adult cognitive part of ourselves, and yeah, that's just not cutting it. So always you have to be willing to be your whole self with all of the feelings, with all of the things that you store inside you, with all of the patterns. If you want to evolve that, you have to start out by accepting who you are to begin with. Okay? And so if you think, well, if I want to change it, it's really hard to accept with love who you are to begin with. And that's the reason you get these pieces that fight. That's the reason right there. Because there's something that you don't want to love. Whether it's a health issue, whether it's a pattern or behavior or something that you're holding, whether it's something you do that you don't like what you're doing, the fact is you don't want to love that part of yourself. And it's really hard to consider why you would. If you're calling this wrong, why would you want to love it? And so now the challenge becomes to recognize this part of you, whatever it is that you're calling wrong, this part of you is doing it for you. It has really good reasons. And if you want to evolve that, the starting place is to be willing to love it, which means being willing to love you. And that's really difficult. So when we go looking for the part of us that doesn't want to, whatever it is that you think, I'm trying to release this program, I'm trying to release this behavior, I'm trying to release these feelings or this physical state or this reaction, it's understanding that the part of you that doesn't want to release it, because clearly there is one, or else it'd be gone. Clearly there's a part of you that doesn't want to, is the part that you don't love. I always say with your heart energy, with the chaos energy, it's about loving into being, loving something into being, right? And so if you think of it that way, then what I'm saying is you can love your health into being. You can love a different behavior into being. You can love abundance into being. You can love motivating yourself to do things that you think you should be doing. You can love that into being. It starts with the love. So what I'm going to do is start as if we're going in for a polar split. And so just as a recap, because it's been a while since we did a polar split, what we do with a polar split is we go in through campfire, we call out the parts that are split. And so typically when we're looking at a polar split, we're looking at behaviors that are automatic, that are not on a continuum. And so what I mean by that is you can think if I get into a conflict with someone, either I can't think at all or I get angry. And you don't like either one of those choices. But it's like, the switch flips and either you kind of shut down or you get angry, and there doesn't seem to be anything else available. So a polar split is when there seems like there's an A or B choice, or an A, or it could be an A or B choice, or it could be something that looks like A or not A. It's either that or it's not that, and there's no other choices available. As soon as you can see you don't feel like you have choices, or you can't see that other choices are available, it's definitely a polar split. And so typically when we go into polar splits, if you think of the health one, you could say, okay, health could be available, even if you've never lived it. Health could be available, and this evidence of unhealth, whatever that particular evidence you're thinking of right now is, and I want to go find, where's the part that's not available? Where's the place where I have a choice that I can actually be healthy? Well, so if you think of it that way, if you've never lived the health, then that one's not available. So if you think, if health is A, then, it's A is healthy and not A is unhealthy, then you've only ever had physical issues. Well, that's not a polar split. Then what is it? You could say, well, okay, sometimes I have that physical issue and sometimes I have a different one. So I can, I switch between these physical issues. And you could say, okay, what if that's the split? And typically what happens, we go into Campfire, we call out the two different versions, and a chasm literally opens in between. And we use light to fill the chasm. And what we're doing is, what's in the chasm is a part of you that's wounded and it's inaccessible. And so we're healing that part so that it becomes accessible. And then the continuum exists, the possibility of other choices exists. It's actually kind of weird how choices become available that way. And so we're looking at, instead of looking at a polar split where it's, in this situation, it's like the way I react when someone frustrates me is either I get angry or I just shut down and I can't seem to communicate or make a decision or anything. That's a polar split because both of those behaviors, you do it and they're accessible. And so when you call out the part of you that gets angry and call out the part of you that shuts down, then the chasm will open, and restoring what's in the chasm will restore the continuum. So now you have other choices besides angry and shut down. You have other choices. They become available because of what's been restored. But if you've never had perfect health, then that part's not accessible. So that's the part that's in the chasm. So you could say, well, okay, I can call out the part of me that has this whatever health problem I'm labeling. All right. And we do that in Campfire anyway. That's not a polar split. So you call out the part that's carrying this health issue, whatever it might be. And then you work with it. Basically, you heal it, you get it to release, you give it a new job, all of those things that we do when we go in Campfire. And then you integrate it back in, you evolve it and integrate it back in so that the health problem can release from your body. Well, except if you've been doing that and it's not going, then you don't want to. And you go, well, yeah, but I really do want to. I really do. Yes, cognitively you really do, but there's parts of you that don't. So then you can go in Campfire. You say, everybody who doesn't want to be free of the health problem, come out and talk to me. And they probably will. And you can work with them. And you can, and lots of times you'll release stuff. You release all kinds of stuff that way. But sometimes there's just the part that doesn't want to. And if it doesn't want to, and you're not addressing the fact that you don't want to, then you're not addressing that. So you can say, here's all these parts of me that hold this health issue for whatever the reasons are, and you can resolve all of those, and that's great. And then you still have it. And you go, what, why? I fixed it. I fixed everything. Well, because you need to call out the part of you that doesn't want to be free of this. And it has a good reason. It has a good reason, which you probably don't agree with. And that has to be resolved. And the starting point of resolving it is loving the part of you that wants the problem. It has a reason. And so, you get into this, well, okay, I can go in Campfire, call out the part that, doesn't want to be free of this health problem. I say, okay, you don't want to be free of it. Let's figure it out. Let's get this resolved. Okay. And you go through all these steps and you resolve it and it's still there. You're frustrated out of your mind because so many other things release and you're good at this, except You're not dealing with the fact that you actually don't want to, because you're going in with the mindset that says, no, I really want this gone. I really want this gone. And you have to go back to the place of accepting that clearly you don't. Because if you wanted it gone, it'd be gone already. So, the reason we go in campfire at all is to help ourselves reach the state. Whatever we have to shift, whatever we have to release, whatever we have to figure out, it's to help ourselves reach the state where we're actually willing to release it. Okay, that's fine. Except, what if we don't actually want to? Then you're never going to let yourself reach that state. So, I want to go in as if we're doing a polar split, and we'll use the health version, and find the part that doesn't want to and evolve it to wanting to. And I'm not going to spend a bunch of time digging on, why we don't want to and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to shift it. Now, we have to be very, very, very gentle because, for instance, if you do health issues, you're holding them for a reason, and it affects all, it affects your body chemistry, it affects your hormones, it affects all sorts of things. And so, be gentle or end up sick. Like, let's not do the sick thing, okay? Let's be very, very gentle. And I know we get all overachiever sometimes. It's like, oh, we could just get rid of everything. Let's be very, very gentle if you're willing to do that. And let's go find out why you don't want to. And we're asking in a whole new way, because we're not asking why you don't want to be healthy. We're not asking, what's the issue underneath that. We're saying, who is this part of you that doesn't want to? And what is it about you I don't want to love? This is what we want to discover. So it's not about the outcome. It's not about the outcome of, resolving the health issue. It's not about the outcome of, not needing 1,000 mosquito bites. Okay, it's an exaggeration. It's probably only 200. It's finding out, why do we want to hold on to places where we don't love ourselves? It's very specifically being willing to look at that. So now pay attention to that ball that's spinning through you and around you, and put lots of comfort in it and lots of courage in it. Judy and I were joking before we got started. She said, the cat spilled the water and the machine had to reset. She said, clearly I have a lot of resistance tonight. And I thought, yep, you won't be the only one. Because we keep going after the tough stuff, ladies. And you know what? You keep moving forward. It's good. You can do this. It's challenging, and that's okay. Because you do it on your own terms, at your own pace, one step at a time. And if you do this much, that's okay, because there's a replay. And even if you do this much, that's more than there was. And that'll be a big shift. I'll do the campfire with the beach since it's winter there. I get to go to the beach every day. It's glorious. I don't sit on the beach. I've never been a sit on the beach person. I get in the water and I bob. And it's warm. And it's very buoyant because it's salt water. And it just kind of bobs you up and down. It's almost like nature's hot tub without any chlorine or anything. All right. Lots of light spinning through you and around you. Lots of light. Lots of comfort. Lots of comfort. Lots. Yeah. Take your time. I know you want to jump ahead and do it. Just let the comfort kind of soak into you. That's it. Lots of comfort. Okay. So we'll start like we're going into campfire. Well, okay, we are going into campfire. Let's picture a beautiful sandy beach. And this is a private beach that only you can come to. Other people can't find it and they can't get here. It is your beach. It is your sacred space. So picture yourself walking along the beach, and the sand can be as level as you like. It can be as firm as you like so that you're comfortable. You can put a boardwalk on this thing if you want, whatever works for you. So you got water on one side and palm trees on the other side, and just walking down this beach. It's a beautiful day. The temperature is perfect. There's just enough breeze to keep you comfortable. You got your sunglasses, if you want a hat, maybe, kind of think whatever feels good for you. As you're strolling along, you can add things. And as you stroll along this beach, the waves are rolling. They're rolling gently. The waves are just rolling gently on the sand. And in the distance, you can see the campfire. And beside the campfire, you can see a chair. As you stroll along the sand, allow yourself to go to the campfire and check and see if you're ready to claim your chair. Sometimes you need to take your time with that. Sometimes you get there and it feels like there's somebody else already in your chair. If that's the case, you can dissolve that chair and make it appear beside you. Because you decide. This is a place where you decide. Or you might want to find out who's in your chair. It's some part of you. And yes, it could be a part that you've taken on that needs to be released. The thing is, it's still, right now, it's part of you. So you can decide if you want to address that part that's taken on the part that's occupying the chair. You can decide. So for now, allow yourself to decide if you're going to occupy the chair or stand beside the fire. And think about for a moment, what is the concept of your ideal health? What would the ideal be for you? What is your ideal physical state? What is your ideal physical energy state? What's the ideal for what your body holds, what your body's capable of, what your body expresses? And let's think about things that aren't that for you. So think about calling out from inside yourself the parts of you that hold what isn't that, and let them be individual. So for instance, there could be a part of you that is more tired than you would prefer. Call out that. There could be a part of you that, I don't know, gets a winter cold. Call out that. Call them out individually. The parts that hold different things that you might consider ailments or things that are other than ideal. And let those parts come out, and then form a ball of light through you and around you and through all of these parts of you and around the fire and around the chair. Let the light spin through you and around you, and let that light be filled with acceptance and approval and love and detox and healing. And just let the light kind of be with you and be with them, kind of soak for a little bit. And I know it's tempting to call out a figure that holds the ideal for you. Resist that, please. It is somebody like you could call that out from inside you and interview them and, kind of find out why they're hiding. That's not our goal today. It's something you can work with on your own if you want, or we may wander to that. I'm not sure. But for now, what we want to do is call out the part of you that reveal, the part of you that uses your health to hold things for you, whether it be, holding old emotion or trauma, or holding patterns for you, holding comfort zones for you. It's kind of the manager of your health, if you will. It may also be the part of you that holds behaviors. So if you think, if only I ate more, I don't know, fruit or whatever, if only I did things, if I, went for a run, if only I, did things I should, it's the part of you that manages all of those behaviors and all of the things that your body holds. So call out this part, understanding that this is a part that you have refused to love. So it may be very hard for you to allow this part to come out because that means you have to confront the part that you don't want to love. And it may be very resistant to coming out, that part of you, because it doesn't feel loved. It feels threatened. So what if inside the ball that's spinning around everything, what if you make a ball of light simply for this part of you and completely fill it with love? Love that is without requirements, love that's without a desire for change, love that simply is. Simply put the love in the ball and think of allowing that part of you to go into that small ball of love. Now this may be even more impossible because it's about having an unconditional love for a part of yourself that you've been rejecting. I want you to feel the experience because for some of you, you'll be able to do it. And for some of you, it'll make you feel that's there it is. That's no, like can't go there. That's the part I'm rejecting. You'll feel the pain of it in your body or in your heart. You'll feel the resistance of it. And just feeling that allows you to know it's there. So if you can get the part of you to go into the ball of light, then just soak with it for a while. If this has been an exercise in making you aware of it, then take that ball of light and put you in it because that part of you is in there. And let that pure love cycle through you and around you with the awareness that this part is hidden pretty deep. And that's deliberate on your part because you're holding on to these things for all kinds of good reasons. And here's what we know. We've done lots of work, and it always evolves us in ways that we can't predict. We may think we know what's gonna happen. You know better than that now. The thing is, the more you evolve, the better life gets. And so you can ask yourself, are you willing to discover what it would be like to bring love into that place in you that's very carefully preserved from it? It's carefully preserved to hold on to status quos, to hold on to coping mechanisms, all those things that, as much as we've done, these are parts that still cling. Yes, somebody said sadness comes up. Yes, because whenever you make this kind of change, there's going to be grief. Whenever you confront that there's a part of you that's hurting, that, you know, as much as you've tried, as much work as you've done, there's still parts that you're very deliberately not giving love. Then, of course, you're going to be sad. So today, this is not about evolving this part. This is not about finding out why. This is about simply giving it love. And if you find yourself, you know, looking for why, or getting that information, be aware you're being distracted and focus back on bringing that love into places that you haven't been able to go, bringing that love into places that haven't accepted love before, that you haven't been willing to give love before. Simply what you're aiming for is places that you haven't loved. One way to aim it is to say, the part of you that holds these physical issues, you know for a fact you don't love that part because you called them all wrong. Take out the part of you that holds on to behaviors you don't like, the part of you that holds on to physical issues you don't like. And today is not a why day. Today it's simply about bringing love into that part. Just for now, bringing love into that part. And so in the bigger ball that's spinning around you, lots of comfort, lots of courage, lots of acceptance, approval, and love. And then focus back to that ball that's pure love, without condition, without asking why. And think of that ball kind of going inside you and seeking out places that lack love. And this is simply another way to aim. You know, we aimed using the what holds these health issues. Now think about aiming for, where is there love missing? It may be young versions of you. It could be an older version of you that you haven't reached yet because you're resistant to the idea of getting old. It could be a part of you that is uh, mean, that you don't like. Think about letting the love go wherever it is forbidden, wherever there's an absence, or wherever it is conditional. Ooh, that's a new one. That's a good one. So we have all kinds of places where we love ourselves. If you're nice, I'll love you. If you do the right things or say the right things, then I'll love you. So think about letting this love go any place that the love you give yourself is conditional. Think about letting the love go any place that you have requirements for loving inside you. It's totally reasonable for you to have requirements in your relationships. Now, think about having love for yourself without requirements. So you can have requirements for your behavior, you can have requirements for your choices, you can have requirements for the person you want to live. What I'm saying is all of the pieces inside you, love them anyway. So you have an inner axe murderer, you say, I never want to live that. Okay, that's fine. Love it anyway. And we've learned over time because, we've gone for our inner axe murderer before and said, even if we don't want to buy an axe, even if we don't want to hack people, that piece of you has characteristics and elements of you that are important. So if you think, okay, well, I can love my inner axe murderer as long as it doesn't hack anybody, that's conditional. And so the difference is to say, I love my inner axe murderer and I choose how to behave. Because if you go, I can love it as long as it doesn't hack anybody, that's conditional. And you can ask yourself, do you trust yourself to be a person who doesn't go around hacking people up? And you think, oh, I would never do that. Well, okay, let that go because everybody's got it in them. And go to the part of yourself that doesn't want to, love your parts. And it doesn't want to because that'll cause change. That'll disrupt how you are safe. It'll disrupt your comfort zones. Okay, it'll disrupt how you are safe. Everybody reacted to that. So sit with that ball of light spinning for a while. And this is where the strategy comes in. Because you have to decide if you are willing to keep yourself safe. If you are willing to know what it takes to be safe, to do what it takes to be safe, are you willing to know? Are you willing to be safe? Are you willing to take care of you? And see, there's this huge part of you that just doesn't want to. Okay. And so without going after a whole pile of why, and I mean, if you want to do that, you can do it after. But for now, this is about saying, okay, regardless of why, regardless of all of that, this is a place to love myself. This is a place where I haven't been able to love myself. We're just going to bring in the love. So bring in that ball that's got the love in it. Bring it to that place. Bring it to that part of you. And yes, grief will come up. Yes, emotion will come up. That's okay. If it feels right, if you can feel there's a pile of emotion and stuff coming up, then step into the fire, because in the campfire, what the fire does is it releases obsolete emotion. There's no burning. Okay, pay attention to where that ball of light is going. That's the love ball. So you've got the bigger ball that's spinning around the chair and you and all these pieces that came out that were holding on to health things and anything else that happened to come out later. And then you have this love ball that keeps going for the places that you haven't been able to love you. And sometimes things will bubble up, and it's really easy to get distracted by those. You want to explore that, you can do that another time. Right now, stay with the love. Stay with the love. Remember, you have a replay. You can go back and do this as many times as you want, and then the pieces that bubble up, if you want to go wander off and follow them, go right ahead. For now, stay with the love. Stay with the love. Remember that you can decide how to keep yourself safe. You can choose to keep yourself safe, because a lot of this is coping mechanisms, ways you've learned to take care of yourself in the world. It may be time to let these places evolve. That's not the point right now. The point now is to bring the love where there's an absence of love or where the love has had requirements or conditions. So just bring in the love. And as emotion wells up, bring it into the fire and let it release. There'll be emotion about what's going on right now. That can release, that can flow and go. There'll be old stuff. Let that flow and go in the fire. Mm. So now we need to pay attention to these pieces that we called out that hold physical issues. Can you expand the ball that's pure love so that they're inside it, so that it's spinning through you and through them? And this is simply about giving them love without an agenda. It's not to say, I will love this piece of me so I can release this issue. If you do that, you're wandering off somewhere. So stay focused on simply giving it love. Not love to release it, not love to get rid of it, not love to heal it. This is just give it love. Give this part of you love. Simply give it love. And notice how you can get caught in that. You can say, yes, well, but if I can really give it love, then the issue will go away. See, the minute you do that, you're not actually giving it love. You're calling it wrong. So focus on simply giving it love exactly as it is. Gently, gently. Simply giving it love exactly as it is. Excuse me. And then bring these pieces of you through the fire. So if there's anything they need to release, it can go. And let the light evolve them and bring them back inside you. so that now you can focus on having that ball of pure light with you. Okay, now aim again. There's a part of you that simply doesn't want to. It doesn't want to love you. It doesn't want to love these pieces of you. It wants to hold on to the pieces that are unloved, partially to fit into the world, because you're surrounded by people who don't love themselves. If you suddenly start loving yourself, how alien are you going to feel? So the key to that is to be willing to discover, because the more you love you, the more you attract that in your life. The more you love you, the more you attract that in your life. So you think the world is full of people who don't love themselves, people who are negative. Well, yeah, because you got all this stuff you don't love about you. So what if you were willing to discover? And so for now, focus on letting that love you. And then you can be strategic and you can figure it out, and you can be willing to bring new people into your life based on what you're radiating, or evolve the people around you based on what you're radiating. That's not the point right now. You know all that can happen because it's happened many times. The point is there's parts of you that you just don't want to, and think about loving them. Simply loving them. Okay, so now think about that light. Think about it tuning your body. So think about that pure love. Think about it in your cells. So as that light spins through you and around you in campfire, think about it also spinning through you and around you in your tissue and loving your cells. Gently, 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 gently. Think about it loving your bones without agenda. Simply think about love for your bones, love for all your joints and your connective tissue. Think about love for your organs. Think about love for your systems. So your central nervous system, your endocrine system, your blood system, your waste systems, your digestive system, your brain systems. Think about love for movement. Think about love for breathing. Think about love for living, the fact that you are physically alive. Think about loving that. Think about the fact that your body and your life are an expression of you. And think about loving your expression. And I know there's an immediate jump to wanting to fix it. I can feel that whole bunch. And so let that go. This is not the moment. Another time you can look at that. For now, think about loving your expression, loving your body, loving your life, loving your own expression. Okay, there's a whole big chunk of stuff there. Think about the fact that there's parts of you that simply don't want to. And think about bringing love into the parts of you that don't want to love your life and don't want to love your expression and don't want to love your body. Think about bringing love in there. It's not about why. It's not even about evolving it right now. It's simply about loving. Bring the love in. Gently, gently. Bring the love in. Without requirements, without expectations. That's it. Simply loving. Think about loving everything you think needs to go, whatever it is that may be. Avoid being distracted by thinking about what needs to go. And just think about the fact that there's things that you think need to go, and think about going and loving those. Bringing the love to that, to the fact that you think there's things that need to go. Think about loving that. Because the very fact that you think there are things that need to go, that's a part of you that feels unloved. That's all right. Let your system take its time with this. That's it. Even though we set these things in motion, it can take all the time you need so that you can process this without pain, without illness. Just relax and let it gently, gently become a part of you so that this love is everywhere. It's everywhere for you. It's everywhere in you. I was thinking the other day, somebody said something about, they'd love to go back to, being a teenager or whatever, and I thought, you, shoot me now. The idea of going back to being a teenager. And the reason I feel like that is I have all this wisdom that I didn't, when I was a teenager, I think I was naive and vulnerable in so many ways, and I didn't know what I know now. And so there's an innocence and a naivete. And rather than cherishing that part of my life and saying that's the part of my life where I was innocent and naive and all sorts of things happen because of that, the thing is, it simply is. It's part of being a child. It's simply, part of growing up. It's part of learning. And so think about the things that, you wouldn't want to go back to, and think about putting love there. Because those are places where you don't love yourself. There is a vulnerability to innocence. And what if that's simply okay? And even though things may have happened that hurt, it's not the time to look at those. The time now is to bring love to that part of you. The part of you that Your parents defined your whole world, or how you grew up and where you grew up defined your whole world. And you didn't know. You didn't know there were other choices. You didn't have the context. You didn't understand. And that is its own innocence. And it may have caused all kinds of traumas and issues. And this, another time you can go look at those and deal with whatever bubbles up. For now, simply bring love there. Simply bring love there. Bring love to your conception. Bring love to your gestation. Bring love to your birth. Bring love to all of your childhood. Bring love to all your past. Bring love to you now. That's it. And sometimes we feel a disconnect between, body, mind, spirit. Think about bringing love to all the disconnects. Whether they're a disconnect between, what you think and how you behave, or what you think and how you feel, or a disconnect between, you could sometimes connect so well with that spirit part of you, and sometimes you don't. Think about loving all of those disconnects. Simply put love there. Bring love to everywhere where you feel there's an absence of the ideal. Whether it's, your health or who you are or, what you do, whatever. Bring love to the absence of the ideal. And then think of how you interact outward. You have relationships, there might be an absence of relationships, whatever that is, bring love to it. Whatever you have going on in relation to, all that looking outward that mirrors for you, bring love to all of it. This is not the time to chase things down. Even if things bubble up, you can deal with them later. For now, simply bring love to it. If you catch yourself wanting to chase things down, it's because you're avoiding loving you. And remember, there's parts of you that just don't want to. So keep focused on bringing the love. And every time you notice yourself being distracted, go back to bringing the love and think, oh, there's this part I don't want to love because I want to wander off and chase after that. You can do that another time. For now, stick with loving. Bring the love. Bring the love. Loving your disconnects. Loving the places that hold other than ideal for you as a way to hold an absence of love. So bring love to them. If you have an ideal and you feel like you're not it, that's a place to hold an absence of love for you. So bring love into it. That's it. Oh, good work. So we have things about how we interact with the world that we consider other than ideal. Bring love to those, whether it's how you express or the circumstances of your life or how your body is, because it's part of how you interact. Maybe it's you think you don't know how to be strategic enough or you're not attracting what you want. Whatever that is, bring love to it. Okay. So now you've got that love spinning through you and around you, going all kinds of places. So now I want you to think about your heart chakra and that gateway to chaos energy. It always feels to me like it's a little below and behind your physical heart. And it's the gateway to infinite possibility, energy without form. So just bring your awareness there and discover that flow and stay on this side of it, on this reality side of it, and just be aware of chaos energy flowing through into the world from you. This is infinite possibility. This is I create. And think about letting that chaos energy flow with the love through everything, everywhere you have brought love, everywhere you could bring love, everywhere that you're discovering about love, any place there's an absence of love for you. Bring all of that chaos energy in there with all of its infinite possibilities. Everywhere you've been and places that you may not have realized, places you could go further. That's it. And then release your awareness of that chaos energy. The flow is always there. We're just going to release it for now because we're being gentle. And then take this ball of pure love and spin it inside you. Think about where you want to keep it. You want to keep it in your heart? Do you want to keep it, where would you like, let it go where it wants to go? We always want to put it in our heart. Think about this may need to go somewhere else because there's an absence. So let that ball of light spin into you. And then bring your awareness back to that beach and check and see, are there any parts of you that still need to resolve, whether they need to release or come back inside you? We brought them in, we brought the parts we brought out, always check and see, who knows what might have been shaken loose. So look and see, is there anything that needs to release, anything that needs to be evolved, anything that needs to go through the fire to release old emotion? Bring all the things back inside you, evolve and bring them in. And if they're not ready, keep them in light, leave them here. They're still, this is still an inside you place. So you can leave them here with the light. Let them integrate in their own time. Leave the light with the intention that they'll integrate in their own time. So okay, so now let's go down to the beach and let the water do detox because lots of stuff going on today. So you can either, lie in the sand and let the waves roll over you, or you can go for a little swim. You can, whatever feels right for you, to allow that water to act as a flush. to integrate the changes, to flush out whatever feels like it needs to go. Just flush and flush and flush. And also let the light, the light that's the water, let it charge you up a little bit, because this was, as much as we were doing gentle, it's also intense. It's okay to charge yourself up a little bit. Just stay with the waves. That's it. And then you can either walk back along the beach, or you can simply bring your awareness back to whatever's around you physically. As you come back to your awareness, do a little inventory. If you have questions or comments, put them in the chat. Just be aware of yourself. You might need to wiggle your fingers and toes, and it's always a good idea to have extra water and extra protein after these nights. And you'll be probably months integrating this stuff. And I always say, use the replays, because when we do this the first time, you're going to go wherever you're ready to go at the time. The thing is that the very fact that you go where you're willing to go opens it up so that the next time you can, in fact, go deeper. And that gives you an opportunity to explore some of the things that open up if you want to. So just check and see. Do you kind of feel different in your own skin? And how does that feel? And is it good? You may not know that yet. That's okay too. Are you back? Are you awake? It's not a requirement that you be awake. I can feel all this floaty energy. It's funny. As Judy's saying, I think everybody's flattened because there's no comments, and that's okay. It's okay to be flattened. I think that this is going to bring new awarenesses, and you guys are used to that, to having awareness bubble up and come to the surface, and that's good stuff. And it'll be months you'll be having stuff bubble up from this, and that's okay. And I think it's what you're going to find places where you're actually aware that you're not loving yourself, but you're also going to find places that are changing because you are. And so then new possibilities become available, and that's glorious. A comment of needing extra time to wash away the anger and the resentment that did not burn off. That's okay. That's what the water's for. Yes, we did. We just did a meditation that was an hour and a half. So you're going to expect yourself to be a little bit wiped out, even though we were a few minutes late getting started. Margot says she's got lower back pain. I think that's stuff releasing. So if you can get up and stretch it out, do that. Whether you do it now or afterwards. If you've ever done yoga, you know how with a sun salutation you kind of do a forward bend and then you bring your arms up, and you come up and bring them wide, and you spring them wide and go down, and then you bring them wide and come up. I think if you do some of those, like things are releasing, and you did a lot. We all did a lot tonight. Okay, we all did a lot, whether you feel like you're doing it tonight or whenever you're listening to this. So I think some of it is it's almost like shake it out because it's loosened up and it's moving its way out. So you're kind of helping it move out. The other thing that can help if you're releasing stuff like this, one is move in 3 dimensions. So you need to do up and down and side to side and front to back. So you need movement in all these directions. And then also a really useful one I find is if you lie flat and with your feet, you're doing this and it wobbles your whole body. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. You're flapping your 2 feet. You're flapping them like that, and it shifts your whole body, and it's literally a way to shake things out. Oh, they can't see me. Okay, so I was just flapping my hands. So if you lie on your back and basically you move your toes like to a point, and then you flex, point and flex, and if you do that in a sort of a flapping motion, then it'll jiggle your whole body, and that can really help detox stuff. Margot says the pain was from a few days when she lifted something. Yeah. She's been twisting today to help. Yes, that's because your body knows before we do this that we're going to do stuff. So ironically, you hurt yourself a few days ago, and that's what you're trying to figure out. So the whole point has been about this places that we hurt ourselves, and we're releasing that. So you were doing this in anticipation of. So think about putting love in your lower back. Think about whatever caused you to do an action of lifting that hurt you. Think about loving that. Hmm. So we have about 15 minutes left, and technically because we started late, we have more than that, but I feel like everybody's kind of zonked. Well, here's a question. Judy says she's having pain at night in her left hip joint, only when she lies on that side. And since it occurred to her to ask about it now, it's probably related. Yes, I would say it's related. So the hip joint is the very literal meeting between I am safe and I am me. Do you think that's right where the conflict is between those two spots? And so it's, can I be safe being me? So we're talking about being willing to love you as you are, being willing to love all of you. So if you think, left is about potential, then there's parts of you that believe you just can't love who you are and be safe. And so what we were doing tonight was saying, let's not look at the why, let's not look at any of that stuff. You can do that if you want to. You can go wander around and look at it. It's the simply love and trusting yourself to say, I'll figure it out. I'll sort it out. I have the tools. I know how to do. I need to go back and unravel something and figure out the why. I can do that. For now, simply love. Julie says she's having pain on the right side and she can't lay down without pain. That must make it fun to sleep. So the right side is about fulfillment. One of the things that, Julie, that you do habitually is that you create a fulfillment. So whatever it is you're living, whether it's like you're teaching but you don't want to be teaching, you're doing this and you don't want to be doing that, you want to be doing something else. And so frequently you're in a position where you've created something and you're determined to call it wrong. And so everything tonight has been about saying, love it like it is. Love it like it is. The more you're saying, I don't want it this way, the more you're saying, I want to hold on to the part that doesn't want to love me. And so try practicing loving it like it is. And even if it's, I think I don't want this, if you're manifesting it, then you do want it. You know that. Then it's about practicing saying, I'm doing this for a reason. Now, what if I love the part of me that's doing this? You can ask, if you want, you can ask yourself, what is it that I'm trying to love? The thing is, that can be a distraction. I mean, it's okay to follow it if you want to explore a little bit. It's, remember, before you get distracted and go off following it, why don't I want to do this? Put the love in anyway. Put the love in anyway. Because the following the path down to say, why am I doing this? And what's the part of me? And what's it got to say? And what's it holding for me? All that's a really good way to distract yourself from actually loving it. That's it. Okay, so I feel people are coming back from the floaty feeling, and so that's okay. So it's not wrong to be in the floaty feeling. So if you're doing this and you find like you're kind of stuck in the floaty feeling and you have things to do or places to go, then simply ground yourself. So what you would do is just kind of reach down into this heart of the earth where it's got a heartbeat and it's liquid, and bring that red energy up through you, and that'll ground your body. Just bring it up right all the way through you till it kind of shoots out through your crown, and then you can bring it back down again if you want. So if you need to do that, just to kind of, stop being so spacey or whatever, it's okay. Like if you're doing this and you're going to have a nap or you're going to bed anyway, that's fine if you stay spacey. If you want to go do other things, then you need to know how to ground yourself. So eating can ground you sometimes. Physical movement can ground you. And that's or using the earth energy can ground you. Margot says, good news comment. She had her first oil painting lesson last night. It's not how to paint, but how to enjoy painting something. That's cool. That is cool. That's a great idea. And then the next question is, since the lower back is near the hip, is that also about concern about being safe loving you? Yes. Everything that came up tonight is about, are we, the whole I don't want to love yourself is a coping mechanism for being in the world, for being surrounded by people who have given you messages intentionally or otherwise that who you are is not acceptable. So we have this huge set of coping that's about dealing with the fact that people don't want you to be who you are. So what we're doing now is saying, I can choose how I interact with all those people and I can love myself anyway. I don't need to hold on to all these patterns and coping mechanisms. Julie says, I know, it just feels so hard to love myself. I don't know what it looks like. You don't have to know what it looks like. That's the key. The whole point is feeling that you can trust yourself to deal with what this brings up. You've got all these old coping mechanisms that say, don't love you. So now what we're saying is, you know what? Put the love in anyway, and then I'll figure it out. Yeah, but I know it's not about the why anymore. Just got to feel it and love it. And it's not a gotta. If you make a gotta, then it's like, then this becomes a whole exercise in proving yourself wrong again. It's simply bring it in there. Let it go where it's willing to go. And if it's not willing to go, then it's not for today. Gently, gently. This is a big, different kind of shift. So gently, gently is good. Taking it in small steps is good. It allows your body to adjust. It allows you. Okay, all right. So now, just as a last wrap up, what we'll do is we'll do a ball of light and we will put everybody in the group, whether they're present live or not, put everybody in the group in the ball of light and you, and put love in the light, simple, unconditional love, and let it spin through everybody in the group. And then focus on allowing yourself to accept this. Think about all the places, all the places you've been putting love. Think about letting this love from everybody else come into those places. And think about how you, in giving this love to everybody, are now expressing a whole new capability of being loving and giving unconditional love. Oh, apparently I cut out. It allows you, and I don't, that's not enough context. It allows you. So I'll repeat. So I said, as a wrap up, let's make a ball of light and put everybody in the group in the ball, including yourself. And this is unconditional love, and spin it so it's going through everybody, whether they're here right now or not. It's going through everybody. And what you're doing is you're having a new expression of being able to give unconditional love because of all the work you've done tonight. And also allow yourself to feel that you're accepting that. You've got all these new places that all this love is coming, that it can go into you now in a whole new way. So just let yourself feel that you're giving it and you're accepting it in a whole new way. That's it. That's it. Let's just sit with that for a little while, because this is a new experience. New experience expressing, new experience accepting. People are thinking, I just got back from being stoned and now I'm stoned again. That's funny. That's okay, because you know how to ground yourself. It's okay. Let yourself go with it, because this is a new experience. Let yourself go with it. Trust yourself that you can reground. All right, and then what you can do is take that ball of light and you can spin it down and bring it inside you. And I usually say bring it into your heart. Apparently tonight we have to bring it into wherever it suits, wherever there might be an absence or wherever there might be a place that it's ready to go, it hasn't gone before, whatever works. That's it. Okay, Estrella says, our family literally got an email earlier today that was passive aggressively attacking us for being so generous this past Christmas, calling being generous to our nieces and nephews wrong, hoping to wake up with a strategy tomorrow. Oh. So what's interesting is the people who are attacking you feel like you're claiming status. They probably feel like you're taking status away from them. So this could be, you gave more than they could give. You gave more than they gave to your kids. Bottom line, they're saying you took too much status. And like my first reaction to that is, oops, too bad. I'll take all the status I want. And so the easy strategy would be, if you want to even respond, you could just ignore it. But if you feel a need to respond, you write back and say, so glad that the kids appreciate their gifts. So glad, we put a lot of thought and effort into what we were giving them, and I'm so happy that everybody's pleased. And completely ignore the attack and just respond with the positive. They then have a choice. They can either confront you and say out loud that it was wrong, as opposed to being passive aggressive about it, or they can just shut up. If they want to go, out loud about it, which they might, then you can just agree to disagree. So if they come back and say, you did a wrong thing, more, not passive aggressively, that you did a wrong thing and here's why, because they'd have to come up with a why at that point. You can just write back and say, we'll just have to agree to disagree on this one. You don't have to please them. You don't have to make it okay. What about that? Estrella says, never thought of it that way. Well, yeah, that would be the point of why I'm here, right? That's the whole idea. So I think we had a great evening, and we did some powerful stuff. And we do, we do good stuff. And I'm pleased. It'll be interesting to see how this unrolls. And I'll be back March 14th for the next one. And I'll still be in Florida at that point. In April, I'll be back home. Hopefully the weather will be better by then. Like I said, I check the weather in Ottawa every day just to see what's going on up there. And so if you're playing with this, remember to put the comfort and the courage with it to just help you support yourself through it and have fun with that. So good night, everybody. And you're welcome for a wonderful evening. I had a wonderful evening too. Good night, everybody. Oh, lots of love. Lots of love to everybody. Yes. Thank you. I was definitely feeling it when we were doing the circle.